Now. Just a sec. Appreciate patience, everyone. We're trying to make this work here. Let's see. Yeah, okay, we're live on your YouTube. And
we are on the Facebook group. We are on my profile page now.
Okay, and I see we're in the group now too. Okay, sorry everyone. We're trying to make sure that we are taking care of all of Victoria's community. And if you're just joining us from Victoria's community, our apologies. We thought we were already live on you, and you probably have no idea who I am. I'm Brent. I'm the Fallible Man. This is one of my shows, but guys, we're so excited to have A Contagious Smile joining us tonight, and Victoria on the show talking about how men can step up and act as mentors to young people who have dealt with domestic abuse. So if you're joining up with us, if you want to ask questions, please get live in the chat. We love talking to you guys. And if you don't see your stuff in the chat, Victoria is going to keep an eye on it as well and make sure we're getting all your questions. Also, there's a form, a little link in the form under the show description. If you want to jump on live during the Q&A portion and bring your question to us live, or if you don't see that your question's coming across, you can also just submit a question that way and we'll make sure we answer them. But welcome. We're so excited to have your community joining our community tonight as we have this important discussion with Victoria. Victoria, I'm sorry, this is a new attempt for us, but I think we're live everywhere now.
We're good now. We're good to go.
Katie's jumping in and joining us. Katie, thanks for jumping on tonight. Oops, I'm punching buttons at the same time as my wife. Sarah, I'll stop punching buttons. I'm sorry. My wife keeps me honest in the background. She's the one who makes all this work. I just stand here and try and look pretty, which is an uphill battle for me. But we fight over the controls all the time because I go to do something and she's already done it and then I cancel it out. It's always a heyday here. Guys, we are talking with Victoria, and Victoria has a background. She is the host of a Contagious Smile podcast, and she is here helping us answer these questions tonight. So please ask your questions. Now, Victoria, next question is, are there differences in the ways that we need to initiate interaction and contact with someone we think might be dealing with abuse in some way, especially starting a relationship, as opposed to walking up to somebody else?
Absolutely. The number one thing is to make the individual feel comfortable. They're going to be standoffish from the very beginning. When I meet someone, and due to COVID, a lot of it has been virtual, but even before COVID, I did a lot in person. Then what I would do, depending on the age of the individual, and I know right now we're focusing on high school, middle school age, is you find something common. You find a common ground because they're going to be very standoffish. I would sit down at first if we're at a table together and just kind of sit there and just see if that person initiates a conversation. If not, and they're playing on their phone, they're reading a book, say, oh, what book is that? Is it any good? I was thinking of trying to read that, what's it about? And just see if you can find a commonality that you can, reach out on. And they really want to feel validated. So to find a common ground to start with is so important. They want to feel as if they matter, because at home they don't. And it's only a matter of time before the abuser takes it to the child. And so right now they are not important. They want to feel important. They want to feel they matter. So if I know I'm going in to say meet little Stevie, I try to get any information I can about him prior to. Like, he loves Harry Potter. He loves art. He loves this. He loves that. So I'll go in there and I'll just kind of sit like with my phone or something, and I'll say, oh, did you see this really awesome YouTube about Harry Potter? I don't know if you like him, but you want to see it? And then there's a little connection, and it's just enough to spark it. It's just enough to make him say, maybe. Or even if he just kind of tries to look and say, well, there's one after. Do you want to see it? And be like, you need to, come here and tell me, who's your favorite character? And I honestly don't know that much about Harry Potter. and I would say, hey, who's who? What? I don't. Can you tell me the concept? I'm old, and these guys are hip and hop new, and I'm not. So can you kind of? And you find that common ground where they feel as if they matter, they belong, and you let them feel like they're in control, that they have the mic, that they have the whole room, and you are there for them, which you are.
Mm-hmm.
You let them know that this is their time and you are listening because they're not getting listened to anywhere else. Even if it's negative reinforcement, that's still negative reinforcement. They need to know that somebody is there and they're genuinely caring. They genuinely are listening to them. They want to help them. And even if it's just sitting with them and watching a video, if it's just listening to them talk about whatever, for them, they are getting an individual's attention. It's not negative, it's not violent, and it is the best way to build a rapport to fix what's going on with these kids today.
Okay. So I have a lot of experience just interacting with people. I pretend I'm not a people person. But I'm definitely probably a people person. I just get a little shy the bigger the group goes, which is why I'm good behind the camera because I can pretend I'm not talking to a lot of people. But I've interacted with kids at all age groups, and there's always that one where you feel like something's not right, and earning that trust with them is so difficult. And guys, it's a very careful line. You can be concerned, okay, but you don't go making allegations. Don't make their life more complicated.
Absolutely.
You have to be patient, and which is a very hard thing to do when you think somebody's in danger or when you think someone is being hurt some way. You have to exercise patience. You have to exercise a great deal of caution and care because the wrong step will make their life harder. It will make it worse. It will put them in more danger. So you have to use some restraint and use some careful patience and judgment, pay attention, and try and start building that that rapport with them, trying to start making those connections with them in a positive way. And often that slow burn is so important
Mm-hmm.
because that's how you build valuable connections, right? You're dealing with young people who are struggling with feeling any value because the people who care about them are not valuing them. So that person will bond with you quickly if you exercise some caution, if you approach them in a safe manner, because they're going to react to somebody actually caring about them. But they're also going to be very hesitant
Mm-hmm.
because the people who should care don't necessarily, are people they trust. It's not always like even their parents. It can be someone in extended family or a family friend. It can be a lot of different people. And so you have to be very cautious. You have to be very patient in that relationship to make sure that you are doing what is best with them. And for some of us who are not in that scenario, that's a really hard thing for us to conceptualize, right? I have two daughters, as most of you guys who are regulars on my show know, and they are my every breath. I love my daughters. I cannot ever imagine that any monster would lay their hand on them. And so this is a very foreign concept for those of us who have not been down that road personally. And sometimes that makes us a little quick to react, which can be just as dangerous.
Yes.
So come with care and love, which breeds caution and restraint on your part until you understand what the whole situation is. And I hate saying it because it sounds so backwards, right? We think about somebody in danger, and our first idea is go save them, especially as men. We want to save people. We're hardwired to come in and try and save people, protect those who are weaker than us. And that can really come back to hurt that young person. So you need to exercise some caution. Victoria, what is some resources that we can dig into that people can, right? Because obviously I can't call and consult you every time. I may from here on out.
Well,
But
come on.
I won't necessarily do that. What are there some resources that we can reach towards that will help us as we look at this possibility of stepping in those lives?
Well, Brent, like I said, I always try to find out something about the individual before I go in and talk to them, just so I can talk to them. And I don't want them to know I advocate for them at this point. I want them to think that I'm just Victoria. I'm, sitting in a room watching a video. I have no idea who it is that I'm watching, because then they're automatically going to think that somebody is there and it's in a negative impact. And so you don't want to do that. If you have no information on them, but say it's a kid in your neighborhood and you just met them and something is wrong and you sense that something is wrong, don't jump to conclusions. Just find something that you can get them to start talking about. Like, oh, is green your favorite color? Green's my favorite color. That's awesome. What's your favorite whatever that's green? And if they don't want to talk, just say, I had a hard day too. I just kind of like to chill out and listen to nothing. And just whatever it is until you get used to that feeler of where they are. You need to get to their level and let them build that trust, because it might not be the first time you sit down with them. It might not be the second, but eventually they're going to trust you more than they do their own family, which isn't a bad thing if that's the bad people. And then they're going to eventually open up and tell you everything. And that is crucial. And yeah, I know a lot of people are on the jump to go and save them. I've been that same way, but you actually do more helping by being patient and understanding and building a rapport than you do jumping the gun, because you could be misconstruing the entire situation. And who you think could be the bad influence in this might not be that person. And in turn, you might be taking out the good person that he has or she has. So you kind of look at your resources, you try to do some investigation on the side. Don't ask the questions. Eventually, when they're comfortable enough, they'll talk to you. Don't pry. Don't pry. If you know they like art, bring in some paper and pretend to draw. I can't draw a stick person, but I can try. Yeah, I can't. It's horrible. My daughter laughs at me constantly about the fact that by now I should have mastered a stick person. But I would say, hey, if he's drawing or she's drawing and there's color, say, hey, can I borrow that? I can't draw a stick person. Don't laugh. And, eventually they will even talk about their problems in pictures. I've had a lot of kids that will draw out what's going on for them in their pictures. And, oh, this is really cool. Is this your house? No, this is my stepdad's house. And he's with my mom. Oh, is that your dog? I like dogs. And when you start to see the uncomfortability in that child, change the subject so that they don't feel like you're pressuring them to get information. They're smart. They are so smart. So if you mention, oh, that's your stepdad's, and you see the pain and you see him pull back a little or she pull back a little, change it. Oh, so you have a dog? What's your dog's name? How old is your dog? Does your dog do any tricks? That's going to be a positive, happy place for that child. They're going to want to talk about their pet. And then they kind of forget for a minute and you kind of bring them back to where you want them to be. Don't just jump on any first indication that is going to make the whole situation worse.
Now, I want to share with you guys from my side of the community. This is at the screen. Damn. Victoria's website. All right.
I just changed that today.
I know. I saw that you had updated it. This is Victoria's website. What I wanted to show you, okay, was down here on this website, right? Here are services, right? Here are resources for you guys.
We even have mentoring so that you can mentor, and we have classes and support groups.
So if you guys are interested, okay, in building your knowledge on working with people in this situation, please check out what Victoria's got going over there, along with her podcast as well. But I wanted to take a minute and show you that, guys. Now, what you may have noticed is that giant graphic on the front of the page. We're going to take just a second and share that with you. Coming up this weekend, A Contagious Smile is presenting podcasting Fur Paws. Now, Victoria, tell us what's going on. Why are we doing this event?
This is an amazing event, and I'm so happy that you're going to be a part of it, which I want all of your listeners to partake in it. It is going to be amazing. What we're doing is from the get go, I've done this pro bono. I have a legal background and I do legal documentation preparation. I help people get ready for court. I am not a lawyer, but I have a paralegal. I can't give legal advice, but I can kind of guide you a little bit. So what we're doing is, the average person is on a wait list for a service dog for 5 years. We were personally on a wait list for 5 years. That's insane. It's an emotional or support dog, a service dog. That's just crazy. So my husband and I, actually, he is prior law enforcement, and he was a canine handler and a trainer. He actually goes, and he and I are breeding golden retrievers now. And sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Sorry, guys.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm trying to pay attention to reading comments.
Love what you're doing. That you're doing this. I have no idea how I ran into you, but I'm glad I did, Victoria Cuore.
So we're breeding golden retrievers. We have been doing it at the exact cost to the dime of what it's costed us. We have literally turned our entire acre backyard into an amazing kennel system that we custom built. We are breeding them. He is also training them. We make sure that they're up to date on everything. So we can walk you through the process of getting them certified so that they can go everywhere with you. They go to the hospital with you. They go to doctor's appointments with you. And there is no greater feeling than to have that true unconditional love that dog brings to you. And whether it's an emotional support dog or just a support dog or a service dog or a family friend. So we have been doing this out of pocket from the jump, and it's getting quite challenging, as I'm sure everybody can imagine. And so we are doing podcasting Fur Paws, where I have been blessed to have an amazing lineup of individuals such as Brent coming on, and it's going to be this Friday starting at 11 a.m. Eastern time all the way through Sunday. The last one is at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And on the website, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere is where to buy the tickets. There's also the ability to raffle off on things. Brent has sent us some things to raffle off, which is amazing. And I know, I'm a little jealous because I wanted that hat. Carson Kressley, I don't know if you saw it, Brent, went and promoted this event for us, and it hit just shy of 99,000 views in under 12 hours on TikTok. Right? Yes, Carson, thank you. Which is awesome.
So guys, this is a good old fashioned. If you're old enough, now some of us on here might not be, but if you're old enough like I am, do you remember the old celebrity telethons?
Jerry Lewis.
That's what this is. Only it's a podcast-a-thon. And there's a video. It's on my Facebook. It's on her Facebook. It's everywhere, guys. Look us up, and you can't help but find the video. It's 26 minutes long, and it's 1 minute blurbs from all of us different podcasters who are joining this event, and we'll be doing events all weekend long. We'll have different time slots. Come and get to know everybody. Come and see what's going on. It is a very affordable ticket. I'm super, super excited about this. There is a link, and if you don't want to copy that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to throw it right in the comment section here. You can go here and buy your ticket if you are interested in joining this event this weekend. We're super, super excited about this because she is helping people get the support they need. And we're talking about the people we're talking about tonight, guys. So please, if you have the time, if you want to come out, she's even got the schedule on the video so you can see when we're talking. Come check out some of your favorite podcasters. We're really excited about this. Now, Cassie shared, my daughter needed a new one, and several places wouldn't even give her one because she wasn't under 7.
That's true.
This is entirely frustrating. She was sharing this with me earlier tonight. And I didn't know there was an age cap on this, right? You would think this is something that was needed for, especially for the younger ones.
Absolutely. Think about the kids that are in the hospital. Think about a child who's living in a situation of violence and they dread coming home. They don't want to walk in that door, but when they do, that beautiful, unconditional best friend is right there waiting, who doesn't judge you, who loves you, who just accepts you for who you are. There's no better feeling in the world than that.
Now, guys, let me bring this back around, right? Because she's raising animals to help as emotional support animals. You know what the best emotional support is? Is somebody who will invest in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who will step up. Now, like I said, we just had our live event back in June, and I sat there with around 30 just amazing men who said, yes, I will answer the call and step up and be that role model, that mentor, that father figure for young people who need that, for young people who don't have that in their life. There are men who will watch this show, who will watch this episode and go, yeah, that's something I would be passionate about doing. I care about stepping up for young people. And so, guys, I want to answer your question. So if you have a question, please put it in the chat. Please let us know. We want to cater to helping you with those questions tonight. Now, Victoria, I know this can be really difficult in the teenage years in particular,
Of course.
right? For reasons we talked about when I was on your show. Some of those teenagers feel like they have to protect younger siblings and can't get away from that situation. How can men just step up and demonstrate, even in a non-direct way, to those young people? If they know somebody that they think is struggling, how can they almost non-directly step into their lives? What are some things they could do that young person might look for just in observation?
You're talking about in order to help them.
Right.
Okay. They could look at maybe if they're someone who works in their school, kind of finding out that they have an interest in art or they have an interest in sports and say, hey, why don't you try out for the basketball team? And maybe that's something he's involved with. And then he can, try to mentor a little bit, keep an eye on what's going on in that situation and build a rapport that way. I grew up in a non-diagnosed narcissistic family. I went in and got into the debate team, and it was a huge help for me because I love talking, but it also gave me the ability to dispute and learn how to do it. So you can approach it that way. Find common ground of something that you can make them feel comfortable with. If there's someone who comes in, I've had grown men that say, I have a young girl, maybe 14, 15, who comes into Starbucks all the time, because I work next door and I see that she's really distraught. She sits there for hours. We'll go in there while she's there, sit at the table, next to her and start very generic conversations so she doesn't misconstrue. Is this a pedophile? Is this someone I need to worry about? Is this someone who's dangerous to me? Because also they're going to be like so wanting to find someone that will give them that attention that you need to make sure they understand that's not the intentions of that individual, so that the individual doesn't try to leech onto them in that capacity, that they realize that you're there to be an ear and a shoulder. If you are just there to show support, whether it is listening, just listen, don't talk, just ear and a shoulder, you are going to give them more than they could ask for because they're not getting that anywhere else. And you're seeing that individual. When this gentleman told me about this girl who always went to Starbucks, I told him, I said, she doesn't want to go home. Something at home at this time scares her. So go to Starbucks, sit there, find something, even if it's just once or twice, walk by and see what she's doing. Is she reading? Is she writing? Is she on her laptop? Is she on her phone? What is she doing? Try to find something in common, but make sure that there is no misconception of line crossing, because she might just grab hold of it in the wrong way because she wants attention in any way, no matter how she has to get it.
Okay. There is a lot going on here tonight, guys. And so, This takes a special kind of love, okay, to be willing to step into somebody's life in a positive way. Takes a special kind of love in your heart. It is something that not everybody is going to be able to do, okay? And there are a lot of ways that you can set a positive example, even if you are not in a position where you feel like you can come into their life in a more direct, connect, emotionally supportive way. There are a lot of things that you can step up and do because somebody's always watching you, okay? If you are stepping up and setting that positive example, if you are positive in the way you deal with people and respectful and polite in the way you deal with people and treat them like a human, right? They're going to watch what you're doing. Even if they don't have that emotional connection with you, that positive interaction that you treat them with respect, with love, with caring, they're going to pay attention to what else you do. So even if you don't feel like you can step into that emotional level, like I said, not everybody can, guys. It is a special commitment to be a committed mentor or to step into somebody's life, especially when that life is not always pretty and peaceful. But just the way you choose to carry yourself, the way you choose to interact with everyday people. I was sitting with a group of men this morning and we were talking about, being that example, right? And one of the things I do is I always wear my own merchandise. If I don't, who else is going to, right? It's my merchandise, right? Victoria's going to wear it.
I'm gonna wear it.
I always wear my own merchandise. And part of it is because wearing my own merchandise makes me branded. So I am much more cognizant of my behavior, whether I'm in a restaurant or a grocery store, because I'm always thinking, it's like, yeah, but if I act like a jerk and I'm wearing this, right, I've just sealed any possibility of that person ever having a positive interaction with my podcast or me in general. Because they're going to look at this and see that brand and be like, oh, yeah, that was that jerk yelling at the waitress who was just trying to make a buck, right? So people are always watching you. You absolutely can carry yourself in a way all the time that is beneficial to other people. And you may never know it. That's one of the coolest things is you can affect somebody in a really positive light without you ever knowing that you have some kind of impact. It's little things you do, the respect you treat people with, and that extends to everybody. That's not just people who have dealt with domestic abuse or people who haven't. That's everybody you interact with, right? Every interaction can improve somebody else's day, can make a difference. You may never even know it. Now, if we are in a position where we've invested emotionally into a relationship where we are trying to help somebody in this situation, trying to mentor somebody in this situation, positive light, and we have an understanding of what is actually happening, how do we help them walk forward from there?
We're talking about children.
Yeah, we're talking about young people specifically.
Well, I think another thing we also need to go on is we need to talk about is the internet, which is horrible. You make sure you find out if they're speaking with a counselor or a school counselor or a principal. Do they have anyone else that they're speaking with? You take the proper channels. Once you learn enough, maybe you find out that the dad is the good one and the mom is the violent one, or vice versa. Then you kind of try and reach out to them and take it very calmly and just say, I've had the honor of sitting down and talking with whomever, and they're really like bringing things to my attention that I want to know if there's something I can help you with. I by phone case, I don't think you could say it shows a contagious smile, and I tell people all the time that people are like, what is that? And I said, every smile tells a story. I don't care how crooked it is, it's going to tell a story. Want to tell me your story? And they think that's so cool. And I tell them, I do a podcast for teens, and there's no judgment. You can say whatever you want on there. Come do this and let's hear it. And then you bring the mom in, or I say, let's bring the mom in. You don't have to tape it. You can just say, let's do this. And then tell the mom, I want to showcase your child because they're amazing. I want to lift them up because right now they're so down on who they are. They have no self-esteem. They have no self-worth. Let me lift them up. If she's hesitant or he's hesitant, whichever the parent is, because of the abuse, say okay, but he doesn't have to know we're not airing it. He doesn't have to know that right now. Your son doesn't have to know. We can let him believe that this is going to be all about him. We're going to put it out there at some point. See if he opens up with the three of us. See what he says. See what he's going to do. Take this to the authorities. You need to come up and then try to help plan out an evacuation plan. How do you get out safely and survive? People go back because it's not set. Your escape plan isn't ready. And if it's not ready, you're not going to succeed and you're going to go back. And you've got to make sure that you have your things together on an escape plan. And I also help expedite that and execute that as well.
Now, guys, let me emphasize here. Okay, Victoria does this for this is her life. Please reach out to people with more experience. Don't just try and yank somebody out of a bad situation. It can escalate much worse. If they're a minor,
Absolutely.
you can be charged with kidnapping. Okay, it can put you in a much worse situation and then them in a much worse situation because of it. So please, we go back to what I was saying about some exercising a little restraint and patience. If you are aware of the situation, please loop in the right people. Okay, there are hotlines and helplines.
Absolutely.
There are people you can call and say, hey, look, I'm familiar with this situation and I don't know how to help them, but I'm afraid for the situation is getting worse. Please connect me with somebody in my local area who can help me help them. Please connect me with the right authorities to handle the situation. Please exercise that restraint, because if your number one concern is the safety of that young person and you're trying to help them, then you have to be intelligent. You can't let your emotions run away with it, especially as men. Like we seriously want to just like kick down the door and grab the dude by the neck or the chick or whoever is doing this to a young person, and you're like, you can't do that. Okay, it ends bad for everybody. You, them, everybody is bad. So please, if you are trying to help the situation, understand there are some situations where you need to reach beyond you to people who understand how this works, to people who interact in this world and all the time, because they will know the right way to approach the situation. So please exercise some restraint. Use your love to reach out to get the right help for that individual. Victoria, I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions. Sarah said something as simple as a friendly smile can do wonders to brighten somebody's day. That is universally true. I actually love your logo. I was looking for your one of the logo pictures.
Yeah.
I was going to use it for part of the background for the show. It was like I couldn't quite find just the logo, but I love the little logo, guys. You got to go look at the logo for a podcast. I'm not seeing a whole bunch of questions, guys. Like nobody's piping up. Everybody's quiet. I know we're talking about serious subjects today.
Serious. But think about how you would want to be treated if this was you. Social media, I think, is absolutely just that, in video games. And people look at me like I think it's the devil. Social media, the video games are not a babysitter. They are absolutely not. I know Brent and I are same age, kind of, and we had Frogger and Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, and those were our games. Like I think the most violent thing we had was the frog hitting a car. I think was the most. And now, we have these video games where they're like the more guts and blood, the better, and it's disturbing. And there's these websites. I have every filter possible on the phone for my child, and she's only allowed so much a day, and all the schoolwork has to be done first. When we have a meal, the phone is not at the table. There's no electronics at the table. But there are websites that you think are okay and they're not. I had to do research on something called creepypasta. I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't heard about it. That thing is the devil. Like, it's just awful. And the guy, whoever, whatever, I can't think of his name, he tells people what to go do, and then the kids are like, "Oh, he's telling me to go do this, so this is what I'm going to go and do," and they think that's okay. I heard of a story, and it's heart wrenching that a little boy, beautiful little preemie boy, he was a little bit on the shorter side, was in school and he was getting bullied, and he told his sister. Sister told the parents. Parents made a fuss. You know, the bullying needs to come to a stop. And all the principal did was write a letter to the parents of the bully. Then the kid came home the next day with a black eye. And he said, "I'm not talking about it." And he went into his room and he hung himself with his favorite jersey, and he killed himself over this. And that is just mind boggling, because when we were in school, we didn't have any of that. We didn't have the violence in school with guns. We had no bomb threats or anything of that nature. And now it's these young kids that we're trying to help that are doing these very same things. And that's why we need to get in front of it and get it to stop.
You went to a different school than I did.
Really?
Oh yeah, we had bomb threats, at least one or two a year, and
You must be a lot younger than I think.
42.
Well, we're close. But we didn't have any school shootings.
No, but at my school, I went to school in the sticks. Like, we had rifle racks in our trucks, and that was acceptable with rifles in them.
Right?
No kidding. I went to school in Wyoming. I went to school in the sticks. And, most of the guys I went to school with, the upperclassmen, juniors, and seniors, we were all going to the ranch after school to work. So it was just part of our lives.
Right.
And guns weren't looked at as weapons; they were looked at as tools where I lived.
And now they're trying to take away our right to carry, and that's just a whole different show.
Let's see. We're going to jump in here to the comment section for a second. Cassie says, "I'm on my third live-in teen who has run away from home. The first thing is, do your parents know where you are, or do I need to call the police to get involved?" So Cassie has been taking care of kids wandering off herself. Like I said, I'm going to connect you two after the show. Like, you two got a lot to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully there's a GPS on their phone.
Let's see. And we have one of our users over on your channel, on your Facebook group.
My guys, awesome. And I know yours are too.
Yeah.
But we have a very, very close knit group. And the one thing different, Brent, I want to make sure people understand, is that if they try and get a hold of me, they're going to get a hold of me. They're going to talk to me. I'm not going to push them off on anyone else. If they have a question and I don't know it, I'm going to get them the answer. And so they know this. I'm available 20 something hours a day. And they realize they can come out and ask me these questions. And families that I've helped have become like family to me, and we stay in contact. And so I am just very blessed with the people that I get to help with.
Let's see. I think this is your private group, so I'm not using names. So if I'm not calling out your name, I apologize, because it's the private group, or because you haven't set your Facebook settings with StreamYard.com/Facebook to allow it to use your personal picture and name. I don't want to throw any names out there, just in case you would like to remain private. I want to respect that. So forgive me if I'm not calling you out by name. I am actually seeing it because I'm in the group too. Let's see. We have one from your group that says, "I help out my daughter-in-law in grammar school, and I love the kids. There are so many with parents in jail, parents on drugs. So some have talked to me about their home. They just want to talk to somebody that will listen, and it breaks my heart."
I know who that is, and she is an absolutely stand-up amazing woman. I know how she talks. I'm sure who that is. And she is, I've actually been, if this is who I think it is, then just say yes. I got to be a pit bull for her when she needed me. And we've been, like, we're very, very close. And she's absolutely right. I know she volunteers in schools and helps, with the kids that don't have a good home life, and she is an amazing individual too, who's had some bad days herself.
Yes, he says, first almost live in, asking those questions. Answer was no. So all I had to do was call the police for a mental health check on dad and let mom know what I was doing. It gave mom the capacity to realize her attempts to shield the kids and take some abuse were not working and things needed to change. And she had the support she needed. That is awesome, Cass. That is a beautiful, beautiful story that worked out incredibly well. But you see, Cassie was smart, right? She involved the right people
Yes,
to
she did
make
everything.
sure
She said, good
everybody was
job. She did
protected.
exactly what she's supposed to.
So great job there. That's beautiful. When they talk to me, should I ask questions or just listen? That's a great question.
That's a fabulous question. Just in the beginning, just listen.
Your other user said, yes, it's me.
I knew it was her. I love her. I absolutely love her. In the beginning, you absolutely just listen. Let them open up. Let them talk to you. Let them feel that rapport. And then once they've opened up, not right away, then maybe you can start with generic questions and not questions that have anything to do with what they're telling you. So if they're telling you at home things are bad and one hits the other or whatever, just say, well, do you have any pets at home? What you're doing is you're learning about the environment. You're learning about what else is inside in that environment. Well, if that happens, do you go into another room and shut the door with your dog? Or do you take your cat and go in a different room and shut the door? What do you do when this is going on? How about go outside and go to a neighbor's house? Is that something that's an option? But you don't ask specific questions like, what did he do to your mom? Did you watch it? Because then they're going to want to go be in that room next time it happens and they're going to want to watch it. You need to keep the children as far away as possible when an act of violence is transpiring.
I'm interacting with your community here for a second.
It's your community too.
Well, yeah, it is. But because of the way the community is setting up, some of the stuff I posted isn't showing up in their chat. So I'm making sure and sharing some of the stuff into their chat as well. And guys, if you're not seeing all the comments that we're addressing, that's because we're taking in from 5 different sources right now. We're live in 5 different places. So if you're not seeing all the chat, we see it all. But if you're on my YouTube channel, you're not going to see the chat necessarily from her Facebook users. So if it's a little weird, this is why we're trying to make sure we serve each community and take care of everybody and get everybody's questions answered. So that's why you're not seeing some of the questions we're posting necessarily on your side of the conversation, just because we got people watching in 5 different places.
And for those who have questions, come on to this beautiful weekend event because we have a former police chief who you could ask questions for. We have survivors that are men and women. We have an amazing 14-year-old girl who has written 18 books, 10 which are bestsellers on Amazon.
Oh my goodness.
Brent, who I just think is amazing. We have a wonderful girl who was in a horrific car accident. There was no alcohol or drugs involved. She was an amazing swimmer, Olympic-bound swimmer, and ended up paralyzed. And she said, my life is the water. And she ended up retraining herself. And you'll have to hear her story. It's amazing. She's coming on as well. We have Jay Wiley, who is anyone who is in podcasting knows who Jay Wiley is. He is a former Baltimore police officer who was injured in the line of duty. He's a full-time radio DJ now and host several podcasts. Has like 26 million followers. He's coming on. We are just so blessed with everyone that is doing this podcast event. And you really, if one of us can't get your exact question answered, you will be able to get them answered along the lines of everyone that is going to be here.
Please tell me I don't have to follow Kid Wonder author.
No, seriously.
Please tell me I'm not following her.
It would be funny if you were. No, you are not. No.
Oh man, that's a wow. That's I'm trying to write my first book and wow.
I know that's yeah. When I asked her that, I was like, So when you get like a B in English, do you go, "Hey, I'm published"? Are you nuts? Like, what's going on here? Why?
You
Yeah,
understand I'm a best-selling author already?
right. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
seriously. Yeah.
That's funny because that happens. I'm reading a book right now by one of the top selling authors in the world. He's got books on 147 countries, written 20 plus books.
Wow.
He failed every English class he ever had.
Really?
He said I was a hopeless writer. And so when I decided that it was time to start writing, it was later in my life. I was like 30 something. And I was like, no, what am I even thinking? Yeah, like he bombed every English class, high school, college. He actually had a college professor be like, "You should just drop this class.
Wow.
You're hopeless."
That's crazy. I thought about this. I definitely want to connect you and this gentleman named Martin. He is going to be on Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is an amazing story. He has, he definitely has a story to tell. I don't want to tell too much of it, but he served 17 years for DUI and manslaughter. There's a lot of reasons behind it. And then he now serves as a suicide prevention counselor. He bettered himself while he was incarcerated in prison and got his bachelor's in sociology, got a master's in psychology. He tries to help younger guys get back on the right track before something happens. And, he will be there talking about what it was like from the other side.
Sarah wants to know if her books count as classwork.
Absolutely.
Hey, check it out. Julie Stu, I'm going to say your name wrong. Stu in the house, the Galactic Channel.
Julia, if
Yeah,
it makes you any better, from the inception of my good friend here, he has never pronounced my name right yet. So.
I told you the first time I talked to you, I screwed up. So.
And I told you it's like puree with a C.
Yeah, you think I'm much more refined than I am. Julie, we're glad you're here tonight. Thank you for jumping on and being a part of tonight's episode and joining us. And she's going to be hanging out with us, right, Julia? Sorry, Julia. I have too many Julies and Julias in my life. In all honesty, I have several in my life, and I screwed up all the time. I have a niece named Julia, and I blow her name about every other time I talk to her.
Just say, "Hey, you."
Huh?
Just say, "Hey, you." You.
Well, see, that's what I answer to, so it works for me. I'm just like, wow. You were like, "Hey, idiot." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" Victoria, before we go too far off the rails, what is the one takeaway you want people to get from tonight?
You are worth fighting for. These kids are worth fighting for. They still have an inner light. Everybody does. And even in the darkest light, the smallest little glimmer will light a pathway. And you are worth fighting for. The kids are worth fighting for. If you're a victim right now, you will become a survivor. You will become a thriver. And we believe in you. We know that you don't deserve this. And because you're even listening, you know you don't deserve this. So what I tell people all the time is take your earphones, your iPods, your hearing aids, and go put on one of Brent's podcasts. Go put it on your phone, black out the screen, and listen to it for motivation. Remind yourself that you didn't pick this. You didn't choose this, but you can choose to end it. And there is one thing that I want to say that I want it to resonate in your brain for 1 second. And Brent, I will let you take this and use it if you want.
Okay.
You have survived 100% of your worst days. You have a 100% survival rate. Take it from someone who is bleeding places that blood shouldn't come out of. And when I say you have survived 100%, that means you're a fighter. You are stronger than that monster and coward is. You can survive. You can thrive. We're all here for you to help. And you are not alone.
Thank you. And thank you to one of your lovely Facebook friends. That's so generous. Loving you guys. You guys are both awesome. Thank you so much. I'm just so excited to get to be part of your community and to get to do this with you tonight. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Brad.
As always, let me double check here before we do our little sign off. I'm not seeing any more questions. We're not rolling tonight simply because I don't think I can get everybody in it. But we'll figure out something. I'll send some surprises y'all's way or something. Thank you for being here tonight, Victoria. Thank everybody for just being a part of this. Please share this with a friend. That is the most incredible thing you can do for us tonight. If you are moved by this, if this has motivated you, if this has encouraged you, share this with a friend. If you're not familiar with me, this is what I do: is I work with men to help them become their best selves, because I believe that every man was built for a purpose, and I believe that you owe it to yourself and the world around you to be the best and reach your possibilities. So that's what we try and do over at my channel, and I love being a part of your community, Victoria. As always, guys, be better tomorrow because of what you do today. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.